Hoxie with Tacitus today at your Pushback channel, and thank you for joining this audio live stream. In this essay, I'd like to visit or revisit rather the issue of mass migration of illiterate rural black peasants from Africa into Europe. Now, there's nothing organic about it, by the way. There is nothing. There is no way these illiterate villages in the middle of nowhere would just suddenly decide to, I know, I'll go to Europe. It just doesn't happen. There is a whole chain of activism and agents stirring things up, promises to these very simple people. I mean, a lot of people have an IQ between 70 and 80. So to get them to make the journey and to give them all the help and all the infrastructure. So I just want to talk about the infrastructure and the process, but also talk about the cost. Now, there's at least 10,000 illegals a week going into Europe from Africa. Some say it's much higher than that, but it's very hard to get a precise beat on the numbers. A lot of these boats just arriving illegally off the coast of Spain and elsewhere, and we're all over Europe really. And so, but for some reason, there seems to be a real concerted effort to get to Italy. Now, if you look at the port of embarkation, it's a good 250 kilometers from the Libyan coast, the Tunisian coast, depending on where they go from, or the port that they leave from. But they leave with this is a boatload of illiterate African peasants. They leave with just enough fuel to get them into Italian waters. So just enough fuel to do that. There's no more. So obviously the people smugglers are trying to economize on fuel. They leave without food and without water, but they all somehow can afford iPhones with generous international coverage plans and internet plans and all this sort of stuff. It's how do these penniless African peasants afford that? I mean, where does the money come from to do that? But anyway, they then, as soon as they ran out of fuel and they're in Italian waters, they then meet, depending on how far you want to stretch it, they meet the legal definition of being a vessel in distress. So they then make a phone call, not necessarily to Italian authorities, but they make the phone call to various NGOs. Now, these NGOs, they've got 200, they've got 70, 80 meter long ships that have high-powered speedboats that they can drop over the side to go and intercept a vessel in distress, like these overcrowded illegal alien boats. And they go there. Now these ships with all their equipment and their personnel, they cost a minimum of $6 million per year just to operate. That doesn't include the cost of buying the boat or the leasing costs or anything like that. That's $6 million a year to operate. Now, they immediately click into action and off because they're patrolling and buzzing around the Mediterranean. So the cost of doing this, they're filled with activists who are professional illegal alien migrant activists, and they make a high speed or as fast as they can go. And if they're too far away from the vessel, that's when they drop the speedboats over the side, which would be another expensive accoutrement that they've got there. They rush to the illegals, then they put them into the speedboats, bring them back to the the main ship, and there they're given free medical, free dental, they're given free clothes, new pair of shoes. And if they've lost their iPhones or anything, they're given new iPhones again with very generous connectivity plans, internet access, the whole thing. I mean, there are more phones amongst those illegal aliens than there is like in my neighborhood around here, top of the range iPhones. I mean, for fuck's sake. So they're given all this, and then they contact the Italian authorities. So we've picked up, these illegals in your territorial waters. Now, again, technically, the Italian government say you bring them then to a port in Italy, So they go to the port of Bari, and which is from the place where they pick them up, 1,200 plus kilometres. It's like a 3-day journey by sea, which and these illegals have to be fed and all the other bits and pieces while they're on board. And because they've come from these dirt poor grass hut villages, the life they're having on board the ship is probably the highest standard of living they've ever had in their lives. So they think, oh, gee, Europe's a great place. Look at this. Whoa, these people have got shitloads of stuff, and it's there for us to take. They're going to share all the stuff with us. And because that's the mentality they have in these African villages. People don't own things. You share what the village shares, what it has. So they then arrive in the Italian port, and now for some of all the tough talk that the Italian government puts on that they're going to stop illegals and they're going to do this, that they appear to be very, very ineffective, and the infrastructure that the NGOs have put in place to put pressure on the Italian government to keep on taking masses of illegals is insane. Now if you look at various articles, you'll find that they weren't the illegals. They're not refugees by any definition, but they use the new definition, or at a stretch definition, where they say, well, these people come from a poor country. They don't want to be poor anymore, and this makes them a refugee. They have aspirational goals to live a rich first world life. They are therefore refugees. I mean, didn't you know? Now you go, what? That's not a fucking refugee. But according to the neo definition of refugee, if you come from a poor, dirt poor shitbox country and you want to live a better life in a first world country, that makes you a refugee. And go, wow, did you know that? So the various media articles, talk about the. You have to sort of carefully read through it to sort of tease out this information. But so here's these illiterate peasants living their grass, hut existence out in the middle of fucking nowhere in some dirt poor country in Africa, and suddenly these people turn up in a nice, very nice brand new Land Rover, 4-wheel drive, air conditioned, leather seats, the whole 9 yards. Turn up and they've got nice new clothes, and they're giving out gifts of chocolate and whatnot, free phones, and they're handing out goodies. I mean, who pays for all this, for fuck's sake? And they say to these, especially the younger men, guess what? You can go to Europe. The Europeans want you there. And by the way, the only reason you're poor and they're rich is because they stole it all from you anyway. So you need to go over there and take what's rightfully yours. And they are obligated to share what they have with you. Holy fuck, is that right? And then they'll wheel out a laptop computer with some movies or something, like a nice big screen, so they can have plenty of people watching at once, and there'll be videos of what life's like in a first world country, lots of hot blonde chicks to show to these young black men. They go, oh, holy shit, look at those fast cars, look at those hot blonde chicks. Wow, you'll get free this, free that, you'll get free so-and-so and free yada-da-da-da. And that's, it's all waiting for you guys. All you have to do is get on we'll send around a bus or something next week. All you guys do is get on that bus. We'll take care of the rest. We'll drive you all the 4,000 kilometers across jungles and swollen rivers and deserts and everything, right to Tunisia or along the North African coast, and then we'll get you to Italy or somewhere on a boat. Now the so-called interviewers are supposedly interviewing the people who made it to Italy, and they also, well, we don't care if we die. We have to go to this first world country to get all its goodies, and if we die, then that's it. We are so determined to go that we would rather die than not go to Europe. Yeah, sure, that's what they're thinking. I mean, what a load of shit. Here, these people living their life. It may be an aimless, pointless, subsistence farming existence in Africa, in the middle of nowhere. But suddenly they decide, I have to go to a first world country and I'll die trying to get there. I mean, who put that crap into their heads, assuming that's even what they did say? And I doubt that very much. So the articles varies, and all the articles look like they're sort of been approved, if you like, by the same, central commissariat. The articles claim that because these young men, these black illiterate IQ 80 peasants, because they're so determined to die and get into Europe, that therefore this determination, for death, that makes the Europeans morally responsible for the illegal black alien migrants. So somehow their determination to die means that it's now Europe's responsibility to look after us. I mean, what? Excuse me? I don't even understand that. That's the insanity of the logic that they, this ideological, insane logic that they apply. So we're just looking at the cost again now. Someone's paying those agents and their nice four-wheel drives to go around to all these villages, and I don't know how many hundreds of four-wheel drives with agents there are. I don't know what agent even fucking means. These people are obviously paid. Someone's paying for the brand new cars to go around. So I would assume the United Nations or the NGOs are paying for it. But again, declaring themselves as charities, those NGOs that are picking up illegals in the Mediterranean Sea, they're not fucking charities. Yet they're registered charities all over the place, Germany and all over, and getting tax-free status and tax breaks and all sorts of things. And there's nothing charitable about them, for fuck's sake. They're engaging in the illegal people smuggling trade. That's what they're doing, plain and simple. They're not doing anything else. But yet here they go, supposedly having the moral high ground as engaging in charitable work. I mean, what a fucking joke. Now, so the agents go to the African villages, and that would be quite an expensive thing to get these out. Then the buses come to gather these illiterate peasant young men. They don't own anything, so they're straight away they're given. And again, this would be effectively a bribe. They're given nice new Western clothes, nice jeans and this, that, and that. And they're not. These aren't the jeans from Walmart or something or Kmart. These are they're getting the designer label stuff that I would balk at paying the money for. Then they're getting their Nike joggers or all this sort of stuff. They're getting all that. They're being fed and given water and given all the support they need. They're given accommodation. Now, bear in mind they're going to be doing a 4,000 kilometre journey over some pretty inhospitable terrain. They would never make that journey. They never could make that journey without a massive infrastructural support for that journey. So the way stations, the food, the water, everything is laid on, and there's no way these people could make that. They have no conception of anything more than a few miles outside of their village. They're very, very simple people. So they're being now for a 4,000 kilometre journey would take, given that sort of terrain, it would take 20 to say 17 to 22 days. Now, that means they've got their sleep. They've got provided with food and water for that time. They're given fresh. No one worries about washing clothes. But you just chuck the old clothes or junk them, and then they're given a fresh set of clothes. I don't know how many changes of clothes they're given. And again, this is designer label stuff. If they lose their iPhone, if they haven't got iPhones, they're given iPhones. So they're just the cost of that alone, and given that there's many tens of thousands of them are moving down this route, you can just imagine the cost of doing that. It's a fucking huge infrastructure, and it's all paid for by the globalist machine, the NGOs, the whole globalist artifice and infrastructure. It's all paid for by them, and it's all illegal. All of it's fucking illegal, and yet that there's some sort of moral obligation on Europe. So we're told to take these illiterate peasants, that the globalists themselves have engineered the movement of these peasants to Europe, or in this case to the North African coast. Now these illegals supposedly say that they were horribly mistreated by people smugglers. They were beaten, they were raped, they were this, they were that, they were exploited, beaten again, then beaten some more, beaten after that. Any money they had was stolen by the people smugglers, but somehow magically they ended up having enough money to pay people smugglers to get the boat, to get them to, and it was all coordinated with the NGOs and this sort of stuff. I mean, that's a far-fetched story. Now, these young claim, oh, we were starved, we had nothing to drink, we had nothing to eat for weeks, and we had to, had to eat the grass off the verge and this. Well, and then you look at the photos of them getting onto the NGO vessel, and they look very well fed, very clean. They've all had nice haircuts. They all look like they've had manicures. They seem to be, they don't have any of the signs of some desperate person living sort of in the sewers, hiding, waiting for their moment to escape. Far from it, quite the opposite. They're better dressed than most of the people around here. Where I live, very well dressed and very clean. Again, all of them have had a haircut. All of them are clean shaven. All of them have got, the brand new Nikes and all this sort of stuff. So this stories of they were, raped and beaten and tortured, that's all bullshit. It's bullshit. I mean, maybe some of them are, but these people aren't. They had they were looking in very good condition. As an average sort of 20-year-old around here doesn't look that good. And these people are supposed to have escaped from desperate circumstances and the most unthinkable privation. That's bullshit, absolute bullshit. So anyway, they're then moved from North Africa into Europe, where they're then given refugee status, and then they're allowed to travel to France, where they're again, all the way along, wherever they go, they're being fed, watered, clothed, housed, given free tents. Someone's paying for the free showers and toilets, portable toilets and showers that are there. All this is being paid for. They couldn't do it without this massive and hugely expensive infrastructure support. Yet not one article that I read delves into the finances. Who is financing all this? Aren't the people that go to these African villages and get hold of these IQ 80, young men, and fill their heads full of total bullshit? Aren't they to blame for kicking this off? Who's paying those agents to go out there? Why aren't they being arrested? Why aren't their bank accounts being closed? Why isn't Interpol chasing them for doing that? And the answer is this is all part of the globalist plan for people movements, moving black and brown peasants into the West. It's all laid on, and there's not a single Western government, not one, that will oppose it. You've been with Tacitus today, your Pushback channel, and thank you for listening.